Hello everyone, my name's Emma. Welcome to my channel. Today I am going over all of the books that I bought while I was abroad in the UK last week. I am so excited to share these because I was so excited going over there to see all of the different UK editions of books because I swear, like, 8 times out of 10, the UK edition is just so beautiful, and I'm such a sucker for pretty book covers. So I think I'm gonna go over all of the books that I bought there, and then also give little snippets of the bookstores where I got them from, because I think that's really fun to see all the different bookstores that I saw over there while I was in the UK, because there were some really cool ones. I spent a week in Bath, England, and I was there for the Jane Austen Festival, but then while I was there I obviously had to do a ton of book shopping, so I'll go ahead and jump into those now. So before I even went to the UK, I know I was going to be searching out this series because of how pretty the UK edition is, and that is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is fantasy, has some romance, it's YA, but the cover is just absolutely perfect. Because for those of you that don't know, this is a book that's very much based in like fairy tales and magic, and so the foxes, the archway, the glittery gold stars, the knights in shining armor, it's the most beautiful cover I think I've ever seen. So I knew I had to go get this one. I also then splurged on the sequel to that book, which is The Ballad of Never After. There's also a third book coming out in this series, and I'm planning on getting that one, but I might have to order it online. It won't match though, since it'll be a hardback, whether I get the US or UK edition, so that's just part of the deal, I guess. But for those of you that haven't heard of this series before, Once Upon a Broken Heart is about a girl named Evangeline Fox. She is totally blindsided when the boy that she thinks she's in love with turns out to be engaged to her stepsister, and she had no knowledge that they even interacted, let alone were going to become engaged or married or any of that. So she seeks the help of the Prince of Hearts, who is one of the fates, and they always say not to strike a deal with a fate because it'll never go quite how you plan it. So once she seeks out his help, it sets off this whole series of events, and so that's what we're following throughout this story. I'm like 150 pages in so far, and I'm loving it. It's so magical. It truly feels like the word magic in a book. Like, I think that's the best way I can describe it. It's so atmospheric and really cool, and I love the characters so far, so I'm really excited to read this one and the sequel and the third one that'll be coming out later this year. Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After I actually got on the first day of my trip. I got these at Waterstones, which is of course the iconic classic British bookstore chain, right? So I went to the one in Bath, England, where the festival was, and I also got this really fun tote bag, which I love. So it just says Waterstones and then Bath for the location, and then it has the Royal Crescent, which is a really famous Georgian building. They actually did some of the filming for Bridgerton there, which was really fun. So I also got this there, and I'm really excited to carry this around because it's such a fun memory. So I got those at Waterstones, and then the rest of them I got at an independent bookstore, so I'll jump into those next. So these next ones aren't as well known, but I remember hearing about them a couple of years ago and trying to buy them and not being able to. Like, they weren't being sold at like Barnes & Noble and places like that, and that may have changed, but when I saw the covers I just immediately like grabbed them because I was like, oh, I wasn't even able to get those in the US, of course I have to buy it. But these are by Laura Wood. I got A Sky Painted Gold, which is sort of like a Great Gatsby-esque world, I think in like the 1920s. Yeah, dreamy summer of 1929, she is drawn into the lives of the Cardew siblings, glittering whirlwind Caitlin and handsome enigmatic Robert. So she gets swept into their dazzling world of moonlight parties, unrivaled glamour, and whispered secrets, but can she stay true to herself and her heart? So I think this is like a YA romance, but the cover with all of the shiny gold is just absolutely stunning, and I do love historical fiction and historical romance, so I'm really excited to read this one for sure. And then also by Laura Wood I got A Snowfall of Silver, which looks beautiful next to the other one because you get like the silver and gold effect. This one is a snow-dusted love story. So in the autumn of 1931, 18-year-old Freya runs away from her home in Cornwall to follow her dream of becoming an actress. When she finds work with a touring theatrical company, Freya thinks her path to success is clear. Amidst all the glamour and bustle of stage life, she discovers, for the first time, a place to belong. But can reality ever live up to her expectations? What if her life and falling in love turn out to be nothing like she planned? So I'm excited to read both of these, and just having them on my shelf next to each other is something that I'm really looking forward to because, like I said, I'm a sucker for a pretty book. I then picked up a signed first edition of One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. It's a little bit reflective because it has like a protective jacket on it right now that I need to take off still, but this one and then the two books by Laura Wood I got at an independent bookstore called Topping and Company, and it was so cool. I'll go ahead and insert some clips here so you can see how beautiful this bookstore is. So before you even go into the bookstore, there's an entire fence kind of outside where they have little plaques with drawings about all of their upcoming events, and they had some huge ones. Like they have Cassandra Clare coming there in October to do an event. They get some really big names, so that was really cool to see. And then you can see it's got these kind of Greek columns at the top. Such a beautiful entrance to the building. And then you go in and it's like every Beauty and the Beast book lovers just dream come true. They have ladders, you guys. They have book ladders going across the bookshelves, and I climbed one. I climbed a book ladder. I wasn't able to get a photo on it, but oh my gosh. Like, I felt like all of the pieces had come together. All of my bookish personality was just summed up in that one moment of climbing the book ladder. It was incredible. They had so many books there. They had all of these special signed and first editions. They had all of the pretty UK covers. It was incredible. So this one, when I saw it, I was really excited because it has kind of the classic cover, but it has this like gold foiling on the front, like the author name and like around the dagger, and then beautiful artwork on the inside. Gorgeous artwork. And then her signature, which is so cool. Like, do my books need to be signed by the author? No, but knowing that they have been just kind of makes it a little extra special, you know? So it's pretty exciting. I'm really excited to read this one. As far as I know, it's sort of a Romeo and Juliet-esque retelling, but New York modern day vampires. So it's got a somewhat familiar story, but it just says, in New York City, two rival witch families fight for the upper hand. Okay, so it's witches, not vampires. Key difference. But I am really excited to read this one also. I feel like it's a great one for Halloween coming up. I'm kind of thinking about doing like a spooky book reading vlog thing, so if you'd like to see that, let me know, and if you'd like to see this book be a part of it, also let me know. I don't know how spooky it is, but I think it's like a good fantasy and there are witches, so it kind of counts. So this was definitely a beautiful one that I was so happy to get. So now just to talk quickly about some of the bookstores that I went to that I didn't purchase a book from, even though I totally wanted to, but when you only have one suitcase, you gotta make some sacrifices. But the very first bookstore that I actually went to in Bath was called Mr. B's Emporium of Reading Delights. I did get a tote bag here as well. It's actually the first thing I bought in Bath, which is kind of fun. But you can just see the logo here. It was such a cute bookstore, and I'm really sad that I didn't get more footage, but I was in there for not very long before they closed, just kind of a quick stop, and it was the day that I landed in England, so I was a bit jet lagged, but it was such a good selection, so cozy and homey feeling. They have this really cool thing that they do called a book spa, where they will sit down with you and ask you all about all of your favorite books, and they give you tea, and they really chat with you about the different things that you like about what you've read before, what you don't like, what kind of stuff you're looking for in the books that you want to read, and they will select a curated stack of books that they think that you would really enjoy, and then you have money to spend as part of this book spa package that you can spend on the books if you would like to. So I wasn't able to do that because it has like a 6-month wait list, and I just learned about it while I was there in the store, but it is definitely on my list for when I make it back to the UK. It sounds so fun. I also met a really cool bookseller there who actually goes to college, like only maybe 20 or 30 minutes from where I live, which is so crazy that out of all the places in the world I would run into someone that is from an area so close to me, but that was really fun to get to chat to her, especially right after I landed. So Mr. B's Emporium of Reading Delights was definitely a highlight of my trip. Another bookstore that I went to that I'll insert some footage of was a bit of a surprise for me because from the front it's extremely unassuming, right? It kind of looks like a Staples, and then it also has like a post office. So it's like part post office, part Staples, part bookstore. Like, it was kind of a weird combination, but they had really beautiful book displays and a really great selection for how kind of small the book area was. I was really impressed by this. It was W.H. Smith was the name of the store. And I didn't end up buying any books from here, but I did get like a little notebook that I used to kind of document my travels while I was there. So that was really fun. And then lastly, just a quick little stop. I went through this little shopping area in this weird like alcove walkway thing. So Bath is such an old city that there's a lot of like kind of weird curving walkways and little alcoves and things like that. It was in this little shopping area that had like a little coffee shop and things like that. And it was like a used paperback book seller thing. There were just books like stacked up on shelves and on the floor, and it was called like Skoob's paperbacks, which was a great name. And again, I wanted to get so many, but with limited luggage space, had to only do what I could. But it was cool. Book shopping was so great in Bath, especially for a city that's not that large compared to major metropolises like London or Edinburgh or things like that. I had so much fun hanging out in these bookstores, the Waterstones Cafe, chatting with the employee at Mr. B's, seeing all of the gorgeous, gorgeous books at Mr. Topping booksellers, and climbing the ladder. I was really living my best bookish life, not even to mention the Jane Austen Festival, which I was at. So I'll go ahead and insert a photo of me here at the promenade where I got all dressed up in Regency wear. It was so much fun. One last thing I bought there, which isn't a book, but it's kind of a bookish accessory, is actually up here. It is from the Roman baths, because in Bath, England, there are the remaining Roman baths from when the Romans were in that area, and the goddess Minerva was considered to be the patron goddess of the hot springs and of the Roman baths, and so they had this like bust of her, and I thought that it would be so cool on my bookshelves and kind of has a fun dark academia vibe to it. And so this was something that I picked up also that I plan on decorating my bookshelves with. I'm kind of thinking about doing a bookshelf decorating video, so again, if you'd like to see something like that, let me know down in the comments. It'd be fun to get out some fall decorations and kind of highlight a little bit better some of my prettier, fancier books. I really had such a blast over there, and I'm so excited to get to do some more reading now that I'm back and getting into all of the fall videos. Thank you so much for watching. It was so fun to get to relive all of my book shopping while I was over there. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Happy reading!